grandmother in a rough neighborhood to experience real life beyond luxury. Now here's where it gets real messy, the family dynamics. While King was sitting in DeKalb County Jail waiting to be transferred to Pickens.
Hold up, man. I gotta say something, man. What is good in the neighborhood, y'all? Gotta get my levels right. Hey, check this out. King Harris sentence. Goodbye forever. Oh my gracious. T.I. he said it in another video, man. He said this ain't gonna lead to nothing but trouble. That's what he said. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. It's going on the stream channel, man. Hey, shout out to the stream channel. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Let's check it out.
This energetic kid is now facing a sentence that has left fans. Behind his flashy rap persona, he was running a criminal empire that ultimately led to his collapse. The shocking truth behind what brought him down is darker than anyone imagined, and we're about to reveal it all. King's legal drama unfolds. Yo,
Wow.
What's good, fam? We about to dive deep into some real street drama that's been shaking up the hip-hop community. We talking about King Harris, I quote, S son, and how this young blood went from living in the lap of luxury to catching cases and beefing with his own moms. This ain't your typical rich kid acting out story now. This goes way deeper into the culture, the struggle, and what happens when keeping it real goes all the way wrong. Now, before we get into this wild ride, let me keep it 100 with y'all. The streets been talking. Social media been buzzing with all kinds of crazy rumors about King getting locked up for years, getting jumped in jail, all that wild stuff. But yo, we about to separate the facts from the fiction, the real from the fake, because when it comes to this young King story, the truth is already dramatic enough without all the cap.
I'm kind, energetic, nice dude, man. My name King, you know it, and your mama know it.
Oh my God.
Oh, Gary, what? Come here.
So check it, October 14th, 2024.
God.
That's the date that changed everything for King Harris. This young blood was riding through Dunwoody, Georgia, probably thinking he was just living his best life, when boom, he nearly clipped a police cruiser pulling out of a gas station. The officer stopped him for failure to yield, noticed the smell of marijuana, and observed a firearm on Harris's hip. Now hold up. Before y'all start thinking this was some targeted harassment or nothing like that, the boy was cooperative from jump. No drama, no resistance, just straight up caught slipping. But here's where it gets real spicy. When the officer ran his information, they found out King had an active bench warrant from Pickens County. The warrant was related to charges from August 2022 for speeding, driving with a suspended license, and driving under the influence of drugs. So basically, this young King had been dodging court dates for 2 whole years, thinking the streets would just forget about his business. That's not how the game works, homie. The whole scene went down like this.
And he got a
Officers
kid.
reported smelling marijuana coming from Harris's vehicle and noticed a firearm on his left hip with 2 small baggies of marijuana found during a search. Now in the hood, we know this type of stop can go left real quick, but King kept it cool. The officer removed that piece without any problems, cuffed him up, and that was that. Real recognized real. He didn't try to act tough or make the situation worse than it already was. But yo, this is where the story gets deeper than just another rich kid catching a case. See, King been trying to prove he ain't just some spoiled brat living off daddy's name. He been claiming the streets, talking about how he stand on business, trying to show he really bout that life. King has emphasized his connections to Atlanta's street culture, claiming he spent significant time living with his grandmother in a rough neighborhood to experience real life beyond luxury. Now here's where it gets real messy, the family dynamics. While King was sitting in DeKalb County Jail waiting to be transferred to Pickens.
Hold up, man. I gotta say something, man. Your father is a millionaire over again. So how can you say that your grandmother is living in the hood when T.I. got all kinds of money? There's no way in the world a grandmama is living like that. There's no way.
Grandmother in a rough neighborhood.
The grandmother living in a rough
trying
neighborhood.
To show he really about that life. King
Listen
has
to this.
emphasized his connections to Atlanta's street culture, claiming he spent significant time living with his grandmother in a rough neighborhood to experience real life beyond luxury. Now here's where it gets real messy, the family dynamics. While King was sitting in DeKalb County Jail waiting to be transferred to Pickens County, his mom's Tiny Harris was out here on social media basically calling him out. In a live stream, Tiny called out King saying he ain't got good sense and he ain't got all his marbles. Damn. Imagine your own mom's going live talking about how you don't got good sense while you locked up. That's some cold street justice right there. But Tiny wasn't done. She kept going, defending her son, but also keeping it real about his choices. She said something that hit different. King don't mess with nobody unless they mess with him first. You gotta be with him for him to even react. That's that protective mama energy, but also her way of saying this boy been making some questionable decisions. The real kicker though, King was released shortly after when the bench warrant was recalled, and he posted a video stating, "I'm a free man. I'm not locked up." So all that drama, all that stress, just for him to walk free the next day. But the damage was already done. The streets were talking, the blogs were posting, and King's reputation took another hit. Now this is where we gotta address the elephant in the room. The internet went absolutely crazy with wild stories about King getting sentenced to 5 years, getting jumped in jail, T.I. breaking down begging judges, all that dramatic stuff that makes for good clickbait. But real talk? Claims of a 5-year prison sentence appear to be unverified clickbait with no supporting evidence from credible sources. The boy walked free. End of story. This whole situation really exposed the pressure King been under. Here's a young blood trying to navigate between two worlds. The privileged life his parents built for him, and the street credibility he feels he needs to earn. Critics call him a soft-ass wannabe gangster, accusing him of fabricating stories for clout. That's gotta hurt, especially when you're trying to build your own name in the rap game. The arrest also highlighted something deeper about King's relationship with his family. T.I. has publicly addressed his son's behavior, noting similarities to his own past and expressing concern, stating, "If he goddamn keep that up, his ass going to prison." That's some heavy words from a father who been through the system himself, who knows exactly how that road ends. But there's layers to I quote, S approach too. He's trying to balance being a supportive father with being a responsible parent who holds his son accountable. He's also trying to manage public perception while dealing with his own frustrations about watching his son make some of the same mistakes he made at that age. The difference is, when T.I. was young and reckless, he didn't have millions of followers documenting every misstep. I quote, S warning about prison wasn't just tough love, it was prophetic insight from someone who's seen how quickly situations can escalate in the streets and in the system. He knows that King's privilege only protects him to a certain extent. Keep pushing boundaries, keep catching cases, and eventually even family connections and good lawyers can't save you from serious consequences. The timing of this arrest was particularly problematic for King because it happened right when he was trying to establish himself as a serious artist and transition into fatherhood. King was expecting his first child with partner Janija Nana Epps around this time, which should have been a period of growth and responsibility. Instead, he was dealing with legal troubles that threatened to overshadow this important life transition. This creates a pattern that's unfortunately common in hip-hop culture. Young men trying to balance their street credibility with their family responsibilities, often making choices that put both at risk. King's arrest happened during what should have been one of the most positive periods of his life, turning what could have been a redemption narrative into another cautionary tale about poor decision-making. This ain't just about arrest records and court dates now. This is about understanding how a kid from Atlanta royalty ended up trying so hard to prove he belonged in the streets. We about to break down the psychology, the pressure, and the pain that comes with being born into hip-hop royalty while still trying to find your own identity. Growing up Harris and Street Dreams. Born August 25th, 2004, Clifford King Joseph Harris III came into this world with everything already laid out for him. Growing up in a high-profile family, King was exposed to the entertainment industry early on, appearing on the VH1 reality show T.I. and Tiny, The Family Hustle from 2011 to 2017. Picture this. While other kids was worrying about regular kid stuff, King was on TV, cameras following his every move, millions of people watching him grow up. That type of pressure can mess with your head, especially when you're trying to figure out who you really are. But here's what's wild. Despite all that luxury and privilege, King been claiming he spent significant time in the trenches. He been talking about living with his grandmother in rough Atlanta neighborhoods, trying to experience what he calls real life, beyond all the money and fame. Now, some people might call that fake, but think about it. This young blood was trying to connect with his roots, trying to understand where his pops came from before the Grammy Awards and Hollywood lifestyle.
And in fact, like a lot of people, I don't know, a lot of people, I feel like you got to start putting out the good, like, not that, I feel like you so chill, you don't care about putting out the good.
The music dream started early too. King began rapping at a young age, influenced by his father's legacy, adopting the moniker Kid Saiyan, inspired by Dragon Ball. That's some real anime culture right there, mixing Japanese animation with southern trap music. He'd been dropping tracks, building his social media following, trying to carve out his own lane in a game where everybody already expecting him to fail or succeed based on his last name. But yo, let's talk about the love story that changed everything for this young King. Enter Janija Nana Epps, a fine young woman from Atlanta who captured King's heart and gave him something real to fight for. Their relationship became public around mid-2024 when rumors surfaced about Epps being pregnant. This wasn't just some industry relationship for the cameras. This was real love, real commitment, real responsibility coming into this young man's life. In August 2024, T.I. confirmed on Atlanta's Hot 107.9 radio that King was expecting a son. Imagine that moment, T.I. going on radio announcing he about to be a grandfather. That had to be surreal for King, knowing his pops was out here telling the whole city about his personal business. But that's what happens when you're part of hip-hop royalty. Your private life becomes public entertainment. The couple celebrated with a baby shower in October 2024, themed around welcoming a boy, and by November 2024, Little King Jr. was born into the world. But here's where it gets really interesting. In January 2025, King went viral on Instagram Live, revealing an unconventional dynamic. Epps allows him to date and be intimate with other women as long as it's not emotional or public. Now hold up, let me explain this because a lot of people got confused. King basically said his girl lets him step out as long as he keeps it on the low and doesn't catch feelings. He described it as being able to cheat in peace without drama. That sparked all kinds of debates online. Some people saying that's real understanding between adults, others calling it disrespectful. But real talk, every relationship different, and if they both happy with their arrangement, who are we to judge? But King's life ain't been all love and baby showers. This young blood has been involved in some serious beefs that showed his hot-headed side. The biggest family drama went down November 26, 2023 at an Atlanta Falcons game. King went live on Instagram, sparking a heated exchange with T.I. and Tiny over whether he grew up with a silver spoon. In February 2024, he had smoke with comedian Drewski after the dude made jokes about King's stand on business phrase. King responded aggressively on Instagram Live, calling Drewski fat and threatening violence, saying, "You fat out of shape B*H. I'll beat the FK out of you." Now that was some real disrespectful stuff, body shaming and all that. Drewski is a comedian. Making jokes about public figures and viral phrases is literally his job. But King took it personally and responded with threats and personal attacks. That shows a level of insecurity and inability to handle criticism that's concerning for someone trying to build a public career. The body shaming aspect was particularly ugly because it showed King was willing to attack someone's physical appearance when he felt disrespected. That's not standing on business. That's just being cruel and immature. Real strength would have been either ignoring the joke or responding with better comedy, not resorting to personal attacks about someone's weight. The fact that this beef fizzled out probably means someone in King's circle talked sense into him, or maybe his parents intervened. Either way, it showed that when King gets heated, he doesn't always think about the consequences of his words or actions until after the damage is done. Then there's the famous Waffle House incident from May 2022. King was involved in a verbal argument at a Waffle House after an employee refused to serve him due to a mix-up. Now, we all been to Waffle House when we hungry and tired, but King took it to another level, posting videos of himself going off on the staff.
They violated.
What do you got against Waffle House?
See, when they made my sandwich, as you can hear in the video, no pickles. And it wasn't the pickles.
The whole thing was about pickles. They put pickles on his sandwich when he specifically said no pickles. Then it looked like they poured water on it and massaged it. When King opened that sandwich, he was disgusted and let everybody know about it. He said the pickle was on top of the sandwich, not in the sandwich. And it looked like they poured water on the sandwich and massaged it. All these incidents paint a picture of a young man struggling with his identity. On one hand, he got everything: money, connections, opportunities most people can only dream about. On the other hand, he feels like he gotta prove himself, gotta show he ain't soft, gotta earn respect in the streets even though he came from privilege. This internal conflict is actually pretty common among second-generation celebrities and wealthy families. There's something called affluenza, not the legal defense, but the psychological condition where people from privileged backgrounds struggle with identity, purpose, and authenticity because they've never had to truly struggle for anything. They feel guilty about their advantages, but also don't want to give them up. For King, this manifests as trying to create struggle and conflict where none naturally exists. He's looking for opportunities to prove his toughness, his realness, his connection to street culture. But because he's starting from a position of privilege, these attempts often come across as performative or inauthentic to people who have actually lived through real struggle. The relationship with his parents been complicated throughout all this. T.I. has often spoken about raising his children with discipline, drawing from his own experiences with legal troubles and street life. But King been pushing back, wanting to make his own mistakes, learn his own lessons, even if that means disappointing his family and embarrassing them publicly. This generational conflict is particularly complex in hip-hop families because the culture itself values street credibility and authentic struggle. T.I. earned his respect through real hardship, poverty, legal troubles, life-threatening situations. questions. How do you pass that kind of authenticity down to a child who's never experienced real want or danger? By March 2025, things started looking better though. King reflected on the family feud, noting they were starting to see eye to eye and likening it to the father-son dynamic in Power, Ghost and Tarot. That's some real growth right there, being able to step back, analyze the situation, and work toward healing those family bonds. Now let's dive into how the culture responded to all this King Harris drama. And trust me, the reaction's been everything from supportive to savage, from understanding to completely ruthless. This is where we see how social media can make or break a young artist, how the hip-hop community handles one of their own when they stumble, and what this whole situation means for King's future in the game, career impact, and hip-hop's response. The internet stay undefeated when it comes to having opinions, and King Harris's legal troubles gave everybody something to talk about. On Twitter, the reaction's been a wild mix of roasting and reality checks. Many users ridiculed his attempts to project a tough persona despite his affluent background, with comments like, "Kid wants to be a street nigga so bad," and "He wanna be a thug so bad. Bro was born to a millionaire father and wants to be a felon so bad." That's some cold truth right there. People really calling out the irony of someone with every advantage trying so hard to catch cases and live dangerous. The meme's been ruthless too, with people posting pictures comparing King to Garlic Knots and making jokes about his appearance. Comments like, "Bro looking like Garlic Knot," or "The Garlic Knot strikes again" became common, often with gifs of T.I. looking frustrated. But it wasn't all jokes and roasts. Some people showed genuine concern for this young blood's well-being. One user said, "This boy has been screaming for help for years and nobody around him cares enough, it seems. And a baby OTW too? My God." That is different when you think about it. Here's someone looking past the privilege and seeing a young man struggling with identity and purpose, especially with a baby on the way. Reddit kept that same energy, but with more detailed discussions. Users portrayed him as a Nepo baby who embodies negative traits despite a wealthy upbringing, with one user citing him as an example of someone from the suburbs exhibiting gang behavior, implying it's inauthentic. The Reddit crowd really went in on the authenticity question. They wasn't buying King's street persona at all. The hip-hop community response been more complicated though. Most established artists stayed quiet, probably not wanting to get involved in family business or kick someone when they down. But the lack of support also speaks volumes. If King was really respected in the culture, more people would have stepped up to defend him or offer guidance. Now let's talk about how all this drama been affecting King's music career and future prospects. At 21, he's still building his brand as Kid Sion, trying to establish himself as an independent artist. His releases, like his 2025 EP Be Ready, draw on trap influences and personal narratives, but legal troubles could limit opportunities like touring, collaborations, or major label deals. Think about it from a business perspective. Labels and promoters looking at King see potential liability. If he got unresolved court cases, probation requirements, or travel restrictions that affects their investment, public perception of him as a troubled Nepo baby, leveraging his father's fame, has already led to criticism that he's inauthentic, potentially alienating fans and industry gatekeepers. But King got some advantages too. His family ties provide a safety net with T.I. promoting his music, which could mitigate short-term damage. Having a Grammy-winning father who still got influence in the industry is better than most up-and-coming artists can say. Plus, controversy can sometimes boost an artist's profile if handled right. The arrest also reinforced certain narratives about King that been building for years. The body cam footage from the arrest, which surfaced in August 2025, confirmed details, but added no new charges related to the marijuana or gun found during the stop. Seeing that footage probably disappointed people who was rooting for him to mature and make better decisions. His stand-on-business persona been both a blessing and a curse. It attracted young fans who respect that energy, but it also set him up for criticism when his actions don't match his words. King's efforts to project street credibility despite privilege created a disconnect with audiences who question his authenticity. The impact on his brand been significant too. King built his social media presence around being real, being tough, being about that life. But when you're constantly having legal issues, family drama, and public feuds, it starts looking less like authentic street credibility and more like poor decision making. His streaming numbers or social media engagement could be affected as sponsors and platforms become wary of controversial figures. But here's what's interesting. Becoming a father might actually save his career. The birth of his son in November 2024 seems to have changed King's perspective, with T.I. publicly supporting this transition. Fans love a redemption story, love seeing young artists grow up and take responsibility. If King can channel his experiences into better music and show real growth, this could all be part of his origin story rather than his downfall. The broader implications for the rap industry are worth discussing too. King's case reflects broader trends in hip hip-hop where legal troubles intersect with fame, but its industry-wide impact is negligible given his emerging status. However, it does highlight some important conversations about second-generation rappers and the pressure they face. We're seeing more and more children of rap legends trying to make their own mark. Lil Wayne's son, Master P's kids, and now King Harris. As a Nepo kid, King's issues spotlight discussions about privilege in rap, where artists from affluent backgrounds face skepticism about their authenticity. This could influence how labels scout talent in the future, maybe prioritizing authentic stories over celebrity connections. The misinformation aspect of King's story also important. The spread of unverified trial rumors highlights how clickbait can harm reputations without facts, affecting how the rap community perceives accountability. YouTube channels and gossip blogs was posting wild stories about 5-year prison sentences and jail beatings that never happened, but thousands of people believed and shared that false information. The family dynamic also resonates throughout the culture. T.I. quote, "S handling of the situation, showing tough love while still supporting his son, reflects broader conversations about how hip-hop fathers navigate raising children in the spotlight. It's not easy being a rap legend trying to guide a son who wants to prove himself in the same dangerous world you came from. Looking at the long-term effects, King's story might actually benefit from all this controversy if he plays it right. Hip-hop loves a comeback story, loves seeing young artists learn from their mistakes and grow into better people. His reconciliation with T.I. by early 2025, with both taking accountability for their roles in past conflicts, shows maturity that could translate to better music and stronger fan connections. The social media reactions also show how invested people are in seeing young black men succeed or fail. Some of the criticism comes from a place of wanting better for King, wanting him to use his advantages positively rather than throwing them away chasing street credibility. Other reactions come from people who enjoy watching privileged kids struggle, who get satisfaction from seeing someone with everything still mess up their opportunities. What's clear is that King Harris represents something bigger than just one person's legal troubles. He represents the complex relationship between privilege and authenticity in hip-hop, the pressure on second-generation artists to prove themselves, and the power of social media to shape narratives about public figures. The hip-hop community's response, or lack thereof, also shows how the culture handles its own. When established artists stay quiet about someone's struggles, it sends a message. When fans roast instead of support, when blogs spread lies for clicks instead of facts for understanding, it reveals some uncomfortable truths about how we treat young people trying to find their way. But King still got time to change the narrative. At 21 with a new son and seemingly better family relationships, he could use this experience to create more mature, reflective music. He could become an example of growth and redemption rather than just another cautionary tale about privilege and poor choices. The real test will be what King does next. Will he continue trying to prove his street credibility through questionable decisions? Or will he channel his experiences into authentic artistry that connects with people who relate to his journey? Will he use his platform to address the pressures facing young men in hip-hop? Or will he keep perpetuating cycles that hurt his community? Only time will tell. But one thing for sure, the culture will be watching, commenting, and judging every move he makes. That's the price of growing up in the public eye, especially when your last name carries the weight and expectations that come with being hip-hop royalty. What are your thoughts on King Harris' situation and his future? Share your thoughts in the comments and click on the crads on screen for more.
One of the things that these privileged kids don't understand, that the struggle is not just a game, it's the way they have to live their life. You can leave your penthouse type house or whatever, top of the line house, and act all hard and act all gangster and then call your daddy basically. Come on, man, that ain't gonna work. And you should know it ain't gonna work, and you should, I don't know, point in another direction. Get your kids into polo or something. What the rich folks do. I don't know what the rich folks do. I'm not rich. Hey, y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.